So I remember seeing it at the cinema when it first came out back in '93. Um, I went with all my family, my parents, brothers and sisters. Um, and the one thing that always sticks out about Jurassic Park for me, and my brother's younger than me and probably shouldn't have been seeing it anyway, but hey, it was the '90s. Um, it was the Velociraptor scene. And he'd probably hate me for saying this, but I just remember him bursting into tears because he was that scared of the velociraptors in the kitchen and stuff like that. So I just remember my mum sort of like quickly escorting him past me. But I was glued to the cinema screen, just like, and I just remember like these bodies going past me and the sound of the tears. But yeah, no, I was just, I mean, I was obsessed with dinosaurs before that. And I suppose going into Jurassic Park as an 8-year-old kid, you know, with already obsessed with watching the same video documentary that I had, you know, and the books and collecting the magazines and all that sort of stuff. And then yeah, just going into Jurassic Park, it was insane for me. And back then there, and no, still is now, but there isn't much screen time really with the dinosaurs. So there was a lot of the people and the action, and it was seeing the park as well. I think like actually feeling like these people were actually on the island, they were actually in the park. This is something that, you know, we could potentially go to. I was a kid. I loved theme parks and zoos and all that sort of stuff, and it was just like, oh my god, this is just like a mixture of everything together that I was just like crazy about. So yeah, I think the almost the realism of the film, and I know that sounds weird because we don't have dinosaurs and things like that, but yeah, it was just one of those things where I just got sucked into it really. That's what I loved about the first one. That's what I love about The Lost World. It was quite factual. There was parts of the movies where they actually just stopped and just like talked about the dinosaurs, talked about the science behind it and things like that. And you know, it's things like that that I think made it more real. That it wasn't constant action scene after action scene after action scene. You know, there was some time to digest, and it, you know, there was just the discussion around the raptor enclosure, you know, where Dr. Grant's just talking to Muldoon and they're having a conversation about, you know, their growth patterns and all this sort of stuff. And it's just, I don't know how much of that sort of conversation would happen in a film made today. There was, I mean, I had everything Jurassic Park. I had the bed covers, pillow, you know, the toys, everything that you could think of. I remember and I see them now and again, the McDonald's cups, and it had the Gallimimus and the T-Rex and stuff. I had all of them, and I was obsessed. I had like, that was the only thing that I could drink out of, was those cups. And yeah, that, I mean, sadly, unless they're in my mum's loft, I don't think they're around anymore. But yeah, it was Jurassic for me. And then every now and again, I would sort of, you know, if we were playing with friends and stuff, they might bring their little Velociraptor, you know, the brown one, and all of this sort of stuff. So there was, yeah. But I mean, I was obsessed with it. I don't remember a lot of my friends being as like into it as I was, but or still am, because I'm a big man child. No, and everybody knows how much I love dinosaurs still and all this sort of stuff. And sometimes it's a bit like, yeah, I know, I'm like, you know, still into dinosaurs, and I'm in my 30s, and I still remember the day that my dad came to the front door holding the big Rex, and to this day, it's still my favorite piece of Jurassic memorabilia. I just absolutely love it. I still have it. It's still with me. amongst a few other little bits and pieces. But and the squirting Dilophosaurus also was one of my favorites. And I remember having the Jeep, and I would sort of recreate the breakout scene and all of this. And yeah, I've just spent hours playing with these things, setting up my own Jurassic Park. And but it would always be a mixture of like Jurassic Park and Lost World and things like that. So there was always like loose dinosaurs running around and in the wild. But yeah, it'd always be the scene where the T-Rex is pushing the car off the cliff, and so I sort of like a little bit of a disaster destruction movie. So I'm quite sort of I like the build up to these things. Like in Jurassic Park, it was the sort of here's the science, here's the characters, and now it's like, you know, you're an hour into it, here's the T-Rex, and this is everything that's going to happen from there. It just is, you know, disaster. So yeah, I mean, again, it was you know, the love of Jurassic hadn't gone away, and I think I remember the Lost World more so in cinemas than I did. I remember, like I was saying before, I remember that snapshot of my brother. So I remember being in the cinema watching Jurassic Park, but I sort of remember watching the whole of the Lost World in the cinema. And yeah, like you say, it's the all the toys, the Thrasher Rex, the, you know, the bright green boxing and all of this sort of stuff. It was, yeah, it was so cool. And you know, there was these coins that came with, I think it was like a tea bag. So I always remember my nan like collecting these dinosaur coins for me every time she got this box of tea bags. So yeah, I had a lot of stuff. I don't know if I probably was getting to an age where I probably shouldn't have it, but you know. Yeah, no, I remember I remember seeing a lot of pictures of the Spinosaurus and things like that, and I was quite. It actually came out the same weekend as my mum and my stepdad got married, and I just remember thinking, I really want to go to the cinema. I really want to go to the cinema, but I had to be at their wedding, so yeah. So I was, you know, I was really into it still, and even now, I don't know, it just hasn't gone away for me. It's always been one of those things that, and even with the massive gap between JP3 and the Jurassic World, it was always something that, you know, I would always still draw dinosaurs. I was always be interested in Jurassic Park bits and pieces, and so yeah, I feel like it's ingrained in me somehow. It hasn't escaped. Oh, for sure. I mean, like the volcano and all of that sort of stuff. It was, you know, constant imagery as I was growing up with dinosaurs and volcanoes and all of that sort of stuff. So seeing that together, I know that I think a lot of people had a bit of something to say about the smoke and all that sort of stuff and Owen. But you know, somewhere along the lines, you have to sort of step back and go, this is a film about dinosaurs that have been brought back to life. Let's just, you know, let it be in a way. But I mean, for me, the Jurassic World series probably, I think it goes that extra step, like over the top of the action and stuff like that, as opposed to the JP series, whereas sort of, especially the first two films were really based in a sort of reality and a groundedness of the science and things like that. And there was then a few action pieces because of what animals were doing. And then, you know, Jurassic World's probably a bit more about the explosions and the, you know, the over-the-top jumping raptors and all of this sort of stuff. So, I mean, it's cool to see them back on screen and see what they do with them. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely has influence on my work. and the Stan Winston and the team and things like that that created these dinosaurs, and the looks, and I still draw them today, and I can't beat the designs that they created. Like, to me, those Stan Winston creations are dinosaurs to me. But even before that, I remember being obsessed with The Land Before Time, and not just because they were dinosaurs, but because of the way, like, Don Bluth and the way that they were drawn, the thing, how they were animated. I just remember being sort of just looking at the screen and all of the line work, and like you could see the wrinkles in the skin and things like that, and there's little rolls over Littlefoot's arms. It was just, I don't know why, but I was sort of obsessed with that sort of little detail in animation and the line work and things. And I think that still has some influence in my work today, because when it comes to the legs and the little arms and stuff, there's always little folds around the tail and all of that sort of stuff, and around the jaw. And so that film, that artwork and stuff definitely has stuck with me. And artists like Chuck Jones, who the Tom and Jerry that he did, it still sticks with me now. The way that he drew the characters, and even the Robin Hood, the Disney Robin Hood, and I quite liked the roughness of the lines. Like, you could almost see the line work in the animation, and when they were moving and stuff. So that had a massive influence. And then I saw Jurassic Park, and then it just sort of spiraled from there, really. I think many artists like myself spend many years sort of practicing their skill and finding a particular style that works for them. I remember actually drawing sort of chibi style dinosaurs when I was a kid, and that's how I used to draw dinosaurs, with the bigger heads and the bigger feet and things like that. And then sort of over time it changes, and then one day I thought, I'm going to just try that again, that style, and do it how I would do it now, and things. And that's when I first started doing a lot of the Jurassic World dinosaurs. And then I seem to have got a massive audience from doing that particular style of art, and it's just sort of progressed from there, really. It's so I mean, when I'm doing my artwork, I'm very, very much shape driven. So I sort of work out, particular, it might be a T-Rex or a Baryonyx or something like that. It's the Baryonyx probably, definitely has a longer, more triangle-y head and things like that. So I sort of map out the shape and the pattern and things like that, or the position, sorry. And try and just sort of and go from there. And then, I don't, it sounds weird, but I think because I've seen so much imagery, I sort of just it's stuck in my head, and then I just sort of just draw, it just all gets down on the paper or my iPad, sorry. And it just sort of just spills out of my head. But yeah, I think I am very much shape driven when I start the process, and when I look at the anatomy of something and how sort of the foot falls, or where the position of the hands are, or the jaws and things like that. That's sort of things that I focus on, and I think it's little details like that that make it more recognizable to I say the character, but the particular style and species of dinosaur from Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. I know that they look quite simple and maybe cartoony, but I try to capture as much of the little details as well. If it's the coloring, patterning, and any scaling or anything like that sort of makes it unique to that species, or what people have seen throughout the series or the franchise. Um, yeah, I try to make sure that those things are involved as well. It's quite nice to know that, although, you know, I probably am harder on myself, but it's quite nice to know that I have a style that people do recognize, and I think I've worked at that, and it's not something that I've purposely gone for and said I need to have something that's so unique or slightly different, or people can tell, because, you know, I see other artists on Instagram that replicate that style and things, and, you know, I've seen a few times where I've thought, oh, that looks like mine, but then it's also nice to know that you are also a little bit of inspiration for other people to do stuff and develop their skills as well. So in the same way that I've done over the years, you know, there's tons of other artists that I love and follow on Instagram and stuff, and, you know, it's all learning. You know, I've seen how they color certain things, or the way that they draw lines and things. So it's all a learning process. But yeah, it's quite a nice feeling knowing that I have a particular style that just sort of popped up out of nowhere, really. No, I haven't, and I've had people sort of say to me, "Oh, I'm surprised you haven't drawn Bumpy and then things like that." And I have. It's down in sketchbooks. I haven't done it in final art, and, you know, I've got so many little poses and things like that of her, and you know, I really want to draw the baryonyx and the other bits, and, you know, the other species and stuff from there. I think, you know, Toro as well is pretty good, pretty recognisable with the big scars and the burns and things like that. So that would be quite a good one to do. I'd love to, and I think, like, even drawing the kids in my style and with the dinosaurs and stuff. Like, I saw the new toy, the figures that are coming out, and a dinosaur with them and stuff. So it would be pretty to do like a little homage to that, with the character and a dinosaur and stuff. So yeah, maybe I should get onto that and make it happen. So. I mean, like everybody, I'm excited to see those main characters back in this universe all together, and see how they interact together, and how that sort of plays off. I think I have sort of my own sort of hopes for how Ian and Alan sort of, you know, interact with each other and stuff. So yeah, I hope it's going to be as big as I think it's going to be. I'd love to see an Avengers Endgame style movie with this, and just have a big finale and have it a little bit longer, and you know, whereas sort of Fallen Kingdom in moments felt quite rushed. It was next thing, and all of a sudden you're at the end of the film. So it'd be good to have some moments where there's, you know, a little bit more explanation on what's going on, or interaction between the main characters and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see the dinosaurs in our world, as opposed to being on a park and an island. So yeah, it'll be very good. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, it's absolute pleasure. Like, when you asked me if I could do it, it was just, you know, how could I say yes quick enough? So no, it was a really good one to work on. It was, like you say, it's the Jurassic Park logo itself, and the one that you use for the podcast itself. Everybody knows. So it's trying to do something fun, something a little different, something that still relates to the franchise, and something unique for yourself. So hopefully. Yeah, so I mean, as of June, I'm actually going full time freelance design and illustration. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely up for new projects and things like that. Open for commissions for work and stuff. So um, I mainly use Instagram. I've got Facebook and I've got Twitter. Um, I've just started posting my process videos on TikTok actually. But Instagram's, it's the visual one, and it's the one I probably have a bigger sort of community base and stuff like that. So yeah, so Mike Spiers Art is where you can find me on all of those platforms. But yeah, just reach out. I'm happy to discuss anything really. Doesn't have to be dinosaurs.